Welcome to the most important week of the year for the podcast industry. Welcome to Podcast Movement 2025.
Hello, let's wake up a little bit. Did y'all go to the party last night? No, you got some sleep. Okay, so did I. And it still didn't help. Still tired this morning, but we have an amazing speaker coming up for you, because podcast monetization, it can feel so confusing because there's so many paths to podcast monetization. And if you choose the wrong path for your podcast, well, you might not wind up making any money at all. But Jordan Blair, the producer at Buzzsprout, is here to help you keep that from happening. She's going to break down the different paths to monetization for your podcast to help you choose which one is right for you. Help me give it up for Jordan. Come on, applause. Woo! Yeah, let's go.
Good morning, everyone. This is so weird with the headphones on. Okay. All right. So I'm Jordan. I am the podcast producer at Buzzsprout. And today I'm going to be talking about something that's on pretty much every podcaster's mind at one point or another, and that is making money from your podcast. I host a few different shows, and they range from small, super engaged audiences to a really much larger podcast that has over 13 million downloads. So I've monetized every which way, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also had a lot of successes, and I feel like I've kind of figured out what has worked after all this. So I've experimented, so you don't have to. All right, so before we get into it, the most important thing in your podcasting journey is that you keep podcasting. So we're going to be looking at each monetization strategy through this lens. Will this support my ability to keep podcasting, or will it cause unnecessary stress and it'll burn you out? Because if you are so stressed out by your monetization strategy that you start missing deadlines and release dates, or you want to quit your podcast altogether, we got to abandon ship. We can't do that because you can't monetize a podcast that doesn't exist, right? Okay. So the first one we're going to go into is sponsorships. This is probably the most, I want to say popular, but I'm going to say most talked about. It's the most if I could just get a sponsorship. It's that I don't know, carrot at the end of the stick for a lot of podcasters. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about sponsorships. First of all, a lot of podcasters kind of mistake it with programmatic advertising. And it's not that. Sponsorships are the host-read brand deals. They're very creative. There's a lot of integration going on. And programmatic advertising is when you take radio commercials and slap them into your episodes. All right? So sponsorships are best if you have a large or a somewhat large niche audience. And I'm talking big audience. We need 20,000 downloads, or maybe somewhere in the realm of 1,000 downloads per episode in the first 30 days. You also need consistent download numbers because we're promising these brands that we're going to get these downloads for them. So we need to make sure that we're consistent. What's the bare minimum that you're going to get on an episode in the first 30 days? And then you also need extra time for administrative work. And when I say extra time, I mean you need so much time. You need to have all the time in the world to be I'm going to get sponsors. Let me tell you why. This is a cycle of getting a sponsorship. I have done this a million times. So you're going to write a bunch of pitch emails, and they're going to be thoughtful. They're going to be creative. They're going to be geared towards that brand. You're going to have done your research. You're going to tell them why your audience is the best audience for them. No, really, send a ton of them. We are spraying and praying intentionally with thought and care, okay? But we're going to send so many emails, all right? Yay, we got one out of the 20 that we sent. Now you're going to negotiate things ad length, publication dates, payment terms. This is called the insertion order, all right? So this is a contract. It's very generic, very easy. Then you're going to record the sponsored ad. You're going to use the talking points, and then you're going to put it in the episode. You're going to publish the episode. You're going to send an air check, which is actually just a link to the episode with the timestamp of where the ad is. And then you're going to follow up in 30 days with the download numbers and get payment. If that sounds like a lot of work, that's because it's a lot of work, which is why you need a lot of extra time for administrative work, because that's just one sponsorship. So if you get 4 sponsorships per episode, we're talking like a lot of weekends, okay? So that's why there's 2 versions of getting sponsorships. The first is do it yourself, and the second is working with an ad agency or a network or something to that effect. So if you go the DIY route, this is going to be more work. There's more moving parts. You're going to be the one sending all the pitch emails. You're going to be the one writing up the contracts, negotiating, doing all that stuff. So it takes a lot more time. But here's the thing, is you only need 500 to 1,000 downloads per episode if you do it yourself, which is doable. It's achievable. That's attainable. But it is a lot more work. You set the CPM or the flat fee, and you keep 100% of the revenue because you put that work in. All right, so let's talk about ad agencies. This is really great if you don't have a lot of time, but you have a ton of downloads. A lot of ad agencies require you to have at least 20,000. Some say 10. I haven't seen it, but you need to have at least 20,000 downloads for the one episode in the first 30 days, okay, to qualify to work with the ad agency. It's a lot less work. They're the ones pitching. They're the ones writing up the contracts. They're the ones getting payment in 90 days from the brands. And then the CPM rates can actually be lower because the way that they are getting all these sponsorship deals for you is because they're bundling the people in their agency together. So it is like a little less money, but hey, you're not doing any of the legwork, right? So you're just taking in these things. So it's actually a good thing to take a pay cut for something like that. All right, so how much money can you make from a sponsorship? Sponsorships usually go in a CPM model. This is cost per mille, if you're not familiar, which is cost per 1,000 downloads. What I've seen in my experience is it ranges from $15 to $30 per 1,000 downloads. That's usually what you're negotiating is that CPM rate, okay? So we're gonna do some quick math, which I already pre-did because I'll get a nosebleed if I do math too quickly. All right, here we go. So if we do a 60-second ad and you get 20,000 downloads on that ad and you negotiated a $20 CPM, you get $400. Hey, that's not so bad for one ad slot, right? Oh, I went ahead. But that's for 20,000 downloads. If you get like 500 to 1,000 downloads, then you put in all that work and you get like a couple bucks, right? Because you're only getting like 500 downloads. So we're going to like split that $15 in half. And so what a lot of podcasters do when they do it themselves, they can get more creative with the brand deals. So they do a flat rate sponsorship. And so they say, hey, I've got this niche audience that would be perfect for your brand. This is all the things that we do. We talk about this. They would love it. Let's do a product giveaway. Let's do a social media post. Let's do all this stuff. And you work all of it together for a flat rate. And you can get like $75 or like $100 for that. I mean, you're naming the price. So whatever it's worth it to you. Okay? Okay. Now we're going to go to subscriptions. This one's fun. This is more flexible because there's so many different things that you can offer with subscriptions. This is best for shows with a loyal audience, big or small. You do not need 10,000 downloads, all right? You can fulfill a specific audience need or desire. And so if your audience is like asking for like more episodes, they want things a little bit earlier, you can do that. And then you also need time for some extra work, depending on the subscription. So let's get into why you might not need time for extra work to manage a subscription. When we're choosing a subscription model, we're gonna look at 3 things, okay? The first up is the type of content. So what kind of content would my listeners pay for? Second, we're gonna look at consistency. Life happens. You know, things just blow up in life, and you gotta make sure that you're still meeting those deadlines, you're still publishing episodes. So what can you consistently deliver to your paying subscribers? And is this going to support my drive to keep podcasting, or is it gonna burn me out? All right, so we wanna make sure that we're doing something that's not gonna burn you out. One of the things I get asked a lot is, how much money should I charge for a subscription? And it typically ranges from like $3 to $10. I've seen subscriptions for way more than that. I think on like Apple Podcast subscriptions, you can charge $999 per month, which I have not actually seen in the wild, though I would love to. If you do find that, email it to me, okay? Because that would be great. But if we think about these sponsorship payments, right? That was like $15 to $30 per 1,000 downloads. So if you have a subscription that's $5, you need 3 subscribers to make $15, as opposed to sponsorships where you need 1,000 downloads to make $15. So just saying, it works out. So the first one that we're going to look at is the absolute easiest subscription offering you can create, back catalog access. So this is older episodes are gated behind a paywall. Only recent episodes are free. This is the set it and forget it of sponsorship packages, right? Because you're already creating the content. All that you're doing is toggling on the ability to, like, once you upload a new episode, the other ones get paywalled. So when you have like new listeners coming in and they go, oh, I really like these like most recent episodes, I'd like to listen to the rest of the catalog. That's the selling point for it. So the burnout risk for this is super low. It's really easy to manage because you're already creating the content. The only thing that's happening is it's like programmatically getting paywalled as you go, all right? Next up, we're gonna do early access. This is where subscribers get episodes before they're released publicly. This is super popular among networks and big media conglomerates, all this stuff, because if you're someone who plans ahead, if you're someone who like batches your content, if you're one of those wonderful, wonderful people who has episodes scheduled to be published 3 months in advance, this is for you. You can give your listeners early access to the episodes, and it gives them like a little like VIP experience. They're just like, ooh, I get to hear this before anyone else. Merch drops, you get them first access for a merch drop. Pretty cool. All right. Oh, we're in trouble. There we go. All right. Internet. All right, up next we have ad-free episodes, and this is where subscribers get the same content, but it doesn't have the ads in it. This is really great if you're already doing dynamic ad insertion or the programmatic advertising that we talked about earlier in your episodes, because if you market ad-free, the ads will not go into it. Super easy. So sometimes you do have to, if you have like baked-in ads where you're reading a sponsorship in your episode, you might have to upload a second version, which is why I have this marked as like moderate. Because if you're like editing ads out of an episode or editing ads into an episode so you can upload twice, it's annoying, but it's not undoable, right? Next, we have premium episodes. This is my personal favorite. I love this one. So this is subscribers get access to bonus content that isn't available in their main feed. This is really great if you are releasing your podcast monthly or bi-weekly, and your listeners are saying, we want more. I've already binged your episodes. Can you please go weekly, please? Sure. You're going to pay for it, though, right? So we're going to get those bonus episodes behind a paywall, and then it's really nice because it entices listeners to subscribe to your podcast, because you can say, hey, if you subscribe to my podcast, you'll get access to 50 bonus episodes, however many bonus episodes, right? That's a good selling point. And then this is the absolute hardest one, okay? And the reason why I say this is because you're literally creating a complete podcast. So this is a subscriber-only podcast. This is a separate podcast feed that is just for paying subscribers. It's completely paywalled. If you only paywall a subscriber podcast, like if you don't have a free podcast, you just do this, you can do that if you have an already established audience. So let's say that you have a really like successful Instagram page or YouTube channel, or you have a really successful blog or courses, things like that. You can do a full paywalled subscriber-only podcast and advertise it on your other channels for listeners to come subscribe to listen, right? Okay, so we're just going to do a quick overview here so you can see what the subscription is, burnout risk, and how it goes. So really, back catalog access, early access, super simple, Premium episodes, subscriber-only podcasts are going to be a little bit harder, but it's a little bit more rewarding for your listeners. Okay, I'm so excited about this one. All right, support. This is the monetization strategy for everyone. Yes, even you. All right, didn't land, it's fine. Okay. So you can enable support and just keep making your content, right? Okay, so I've got a personal story about listener support. When I started my podcast, I had just like uploaded my trailer. I wasn't even launched yet, and I had enabled listener support, and I just posted about it on Facebook. And it was so cool because just posting about it, my mom, my friends, they all subscribed to my podcast. They supported the podcast. And so when I launched, I had $35 in monthly subscriptions. And yeah, it was Mom. You know what? My mom still is supporting my podcast. She gives me $10 a month. So thanks, Mom. Yeah. Parents are awesome. But this is the power of support. It's so easy. You just turn it on and you let people know about it and you go, all right? There's no extra work. So how do you set up listener support? How do you enable it? Okay, so step one, we're going to turn it on, all right? If you have a podcast hosting platform that has listener support built in, or you use, I don't know, Buy Me a Coffee or one of those kind of things, you literally just turn it on and then you can start earning support, right? We don't have a minimum download threshold. Anyone can do this. Next, you provide links. You put links everywhere. We want to make it as easy as humanly possible for people to give you money, okay? So we're going to put links in our website. It's going to be in the show notes. It's going to be on socials, all right? Links everywhere. Then we're going to let people know. People cannot support your podcast if they don't know they can support your podcast. So you need to make a social post about it, or even at the beginning of your episode, say, hey, if you get value from this podcast, go ahead and tap the support the show link in the show notes, because remember, we're putting links everywhere, and you can support the show, all right? So the cool thing about listener support is there's not really like a threshold on what you can make. I'm sure at like some point you might get some suits knocking on your door, but there's not like really a limit to what you can make from support. And so it like ranges from like if you do monthly payments, like $3 to $20 usually, or if they do just like a one-time pledge, they can send you like $20 or even like $100 or even more, you know, if they like you a lot. All right, so all this to say, choose what fits your podcast. You need to look at your audience size. How engaged are they? How much time do you have? And what type of content can you offer, or does your audience want? All right? You can mix and match this. If you do one strategy, let's say you start offering bonus episodes and it's taking a long time and no one's subscribing, pivot, go to listener support, and just let people know that you have that. This keeps happening. You know what? That's fine. We don't need this. All right. I'm going to leave you. Oh, here we go. All right. So this is just a quick graph. You can take a photo of it. It's just breaking down what's most difficult, what's easiest, what's going to work best for your thing. So obviously, listener support, we're all in the green there. Easy. Anyone can do it. Anyone can turn it on. It's just the absolute best. Sponsorships are super difficult. It's going to be a lot of downloads, or it's going to be a lot of work. So I want to leave you with one thing. You deserve support. Go get it. You are bringing value to people. I know a lot of podcasters tell themselves, like, I'm not big enough, I'm not important enough, you know, but the thing is that if you are actually putting in the effort to create this content, and you are just showing up week after week, and you got like 10 people that come to you to be educated, to be entertained, to just be kept company on their commute, you are bringing value. It's okay to ask for people to support your show and to help you to grow, to help you to reach more people. So I know it's like super awkward at first, trust me. It's way awkward to be like, hey, you know, like, if you want to support the show, you know, you can. It's whatever. You don't have to do it. It feels really weird. But I'll tell you what, when you get that first notification that someone sent you like $10, $5, it gets a whole lot less awkward. suddenly you're just like, hey guys, it's me again. I've got links here, here, and here. Support the show, right? It feels good. Just trust me. Trust me on that one, okay? All right. So I don't think I have any time for it, but if we have time for questions, we can do that. Okay. And then if you want to send me an email, I am always available for you. Okay. Thanks, guys.